Welcome to Fandom Family Chats. I'm Maureen, and tonight we are joined with Tiffany.
Hello.
And Amanda.
Hello.
And we are recapping the latest season of The Resident. And I always get the season number wrong. And we are just finished season 4, right?
4.
Okay, because I want to say 5, but Amanda held up with 4 fingers, so I figured that was what the answer was.
I get confused too, just because we've been talking about season 5 coming.
Yeah. Well, it's also because we watched 5 million other shows that have just wrapped a different season number.
Yeah. Whenever I'm doing stuff like this, I'll ask like Alexa, I'm like, hey, how many seasons does The Resident have right now?
You Apple people.
I have an Alexa in every single room in my house.
Oh,
She's
it's a
my
Google
best
thing.
friend.
That's not an Apple thing. It's a Google thing.
Yeah, Google. Well,
okay.
no.
So Tiffany was the smart one of us and took a whole bunch of notes. And Amanda and I are going to fly by the seat of our pants here, and we're going to make it really entertaining.
Yeah.
So I know we opened the season with a moment that everyone has been waiting for, I think, since probably the beginning of the show, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it the first episode of the whole series where, was it Conrad pulled Nick into the nurses in the sleeping room, or was it Nick who pulled Conrad in there? And then we saw Conrad shirtless almost immediately, and they started making out, and then they left. She left.
Yeah, we did.
I was unsure if I wanted to continue the show at that moment, so I was like, is this what it is? And then it got good. So
that's what made me keep watching. And then I hardly ever get to see him shirtless. It's kind of a crock. We need more shirtless Conrad.
He's married now.
And?
But we start off with the wedding. Actually, we start off with COVID.
Yes.
And then they have a small wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I love that wedding. I thought it was really sweet. I was surprised at how... Is the wedding supposed to take place post-COVID? I got the timeline screwed up.
Yes.
So that's why there was more people there. That makes more sense.
Yeah. That's why they zoomed, is so we can have that wedding.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that was also the episode where Devin lost his dad. And so we saw him go through a really weird... Because Devin and I have always had sort of a... Devin and I, because, you know, we're personal pals. We've always had a complicated relationship. I've always had like a weird feeling about Devin, because at first I really liked him. In the first season, I was really on his side. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. But then when he started challenging my man a little bit more, when he started challenging Conrad, and Conrad I felt was more right and was more on the side of the people than the establishment, I started to not like Devin as much. And so I know that everyone has raved about him in our group, and everyone is a Devin fan. And I'm starting to, but I was really, and I forget he was grieving, because we don't see the death of his dad. We just see it in the flashbacks, and we have to understand that he's grieving. But that was a hard thing for me to, because I didn't see it. And it was rarely talked about. You just saw flashbacks. So that was a hard thing for me to think, man, why are you being such an idiot right now? Why are you being such a jerk to everybody else? This is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. I didn't like that. I didn't like seeing the mean Devin. Not mean. I don't want to say mean, but
short.
The hurt, short, kind of closed off.
Yeah.
Devin. I feel like towards the later episodes, he was getting better and, you know, opening up more towards like Leela and stuff like that. But in the beginning, it did bother me as well.
Yeah, he was kind of up and down the whole season until the very end.
Yeah.
And I forget it was justified, though, is my problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never justified to be that short with people, but he was grieving something he didn't know if he could really grieve. Well, I don't know if it was that he didn't know he could breathe, but I feel like he felt like he couldn't. Like he didn't have a right to, because he could have saved his dad and he did it. So what right does he have? Because, you know, I think when you have a death that close, and I think who plays Devin? What's his name? Is it Manesh?
It starts with an M.
Is it Manesh?
Yes. Yes.
I think he did his character a great service, because he played that out well. When you lose someone that close to you, whether it's your fault or not, you take that responsibility and you hold it in, and it's a way to protect yourself from the pain of grief. And I think he did that really well. And I think that came out. It was hard for the audience, I think, to remember that he was actually grieving, because we didn't see it happen.
Yeah.
But
I mean, not just the loss of his father, but also the flashbacks that he has in his head, and the visions he's having of his father.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really weighing on him as well.
Yeah. And even in that last episode, his dad, he was still having the flashback. Was that the last episode? Was that the finale?
It was right before the finale.
Right before, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those later ones that he saw his dad again, and I was like, oh no, let's not go backwards. You're moving forward. You're getting there.
But even though it was short, I think he had a redemptive arc this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did, definitely.
I think it was nice to see him come full circle like that.
I started liking Devin some even more than Conrad when it was starting to get. Yes, me and Jeanette both. He is just, I don't know. It's the character growth too. From you go back and watch season 1, and then you see that character growth, and just him growing as a person, as a doctor, not just in the show but in real life too. You can see him kind of growing up a little bit more.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like the characteristics of him, and I don't know. He's just becoming a lot more attractive the older he gets.
Attractive is the key word there for you and Jeanette.
I liked him a lot more this season too. I think it's the little things he does too. Like when Rose was in the hospital and he brought the her class to her to do their ceremony for the dance class. I mean, that was really sweet.
That was really sweet. Oh, what about when Nadine brought was it Nadine brought the baby and he thought it was his? Was it Nadine?
Yeah.
My husband could have related to the facial expression he had when he thought that was his kid. Not that my husband was confused about if my kids were his, but when my husband found out I was pregnant, it was the exact same look Devin had on his face when he thought he had a kid.
How did that happen?
Exactly. Trying to do math rapidly. Terrified.
I think all men do. No, probably not all, but a lot. It's scary. Trust me, women are freaking out as well.
Absolutely. Speaking
let's
of,
go back.
Speaking of mothers and pregnancy, we had a couple of those this season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We had that scene with the stabber to Nick.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Hated that.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What episode was that during, Tiffany? That wasn't the tornado episode. But there was an emergency.
No, it was before that.
It was before the tornado episode because she was back to work. I think that was her first night back.
When it became a public hospital.
That happened.
Episode 5?
Yeah. The stabbing happened in episode 5, and then the public hospital was a few episodes later.
I don't know why I thought it was later.
Down in episode 5? Is that what it was? Or all the other hospitals were just full?
No, Chastain was shutting down, and all the hospitals around them were also full because of Chastain shutting down.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
That was a weird turn too.
Chastain I did not see that coming.
Public. No,
I didn't either, and I don't know if I can't tell if it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing yet. I mean, that was such a storyline that they have played out. Of who owns Chastain. I was kind of happy now that it's public. I'm like, all right, nobody owns it. Yeah, everybody go stop.
Exactly. I think now they're going to focus on the big bad of pharmaceuticals, big pharma, because I think they had to have a reason to get Kit in as CEO. Which I love her as CEO. I love that happened.
Oh yeah, I do too. She's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. But I didn't like that comment that Belle made.
What was?
She's in the last last episode maybe, or the one before that. I get those two confused. Where he's telling her that the big farm corp, they were in the black before that. They had to do it. Or he said, you put Chastain in the black. So I didn't like that because but it's also the truth, and she needs to hear it.
Yeah, because I mean, if they were still in the red, they couldn't help anybody.
No.
And they recognize the bigger. I think with that stabbing, they recognize how. I mean, they already knew because Chastain is very aware of how many patients they have and how many people they serve in the community. They knew, but that stabbing of one of their own really brought home that, holy crap, we cannot let this falter. We have to do what it takes to keep this going.
Yeah.
During the stabbing, Kane had a redeeming moment for me when they were wheeling Nick past his room and he wrote on his little board that he wanted to help Nick.
Yep.
That was
Yep.
that was just a nice redeeming moment for Kane there because he's not my favorite.
Yep.
He's getting better.
Mhm.
We think.
I think
I hope
he's
it's
very
not-
back and forth.
Yes, and I hope his change isn't just for Rose because that's not going to be a permanent thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope,
Do we think he's going to stay though, or do you think he's going to leave?
I think he'll stay part time.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think he'll find something else to make him millions, and he'll still work part time because Rose will caution him to do it.
I wonder.
Because Big Pharma now, the company that saved Rose, is now ownership of. They don't own Chastain, but I mean, with the money they're putting into it, they can basically tell Chastain to do what they want,
Yeah.
and they saved Rose's life. So, I think that she and him will decide that he should stay at least part time.
I hope so. I want to see, as much as I don't like Kane, I do like the character as the villain, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also like seeing him change. Like we did Dr. Bell. I loved watching that. And I feel like they can do the same thing with Kane.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, hopefully that keeps going.
Rose helps. She brings out his bit of a softer side of him.
Yep. I like her. What do we think about Rose?
I like Rose, but I don't think she's going to be permanent with him.
You don't think so?
No, she's too good for him.
I
mean,
agree,
it's just my opinion, but
I mean, but is that what he needs?
that's true.
If it's a real change, yes, it's what he needs. But if he's only changing to appease her, then she needs to step away so he can decide what's more important.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
But I liked Rose better until the last episode. Like I liked her a lot. In the last episode where she seemed oddly devoted to Kane.
Yes.
And then I was like,
I noticed that too.
Oh, what is this? And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't want her to be like a subservient thing to Kane.
No. No, definitely not.
Especially because she started off as such a strong character.
She did, and I don't want to see that overrun by Kane's power.
Exactly, and it seemed like the writers gave her a back seat to him in that final episode.
Yeah. I don't know.
We hope to see more of her next season.
Yeah, I think we will, because I think Kane, I think it started with his college girlfriend who came in and he thought, second chance, and then she died. That was season 3, right? That was the finale of season 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think he's got that heavy on his mind. I think that weighs on him constantly. So I don't think he's going to give up this new love very easily or willingly. I think if she leaves, it's going to be on her.
And if it is, she'd go. But as long as Kane's starting to make a turn, I want her to stay.
Yeah.
If it's for the right reasons.
I honestly think what's going to happen is she's going to see that he is not becoming a better man. I think he's going to continue to make decisions behind closed doors that are who he was, but on the surface is trying to make Rose happy by acting as someone different. I don't think he's going to do it maliciously. I think that he is going to do it kind of like, I can't help it thing. I've been driven by money so long. This is what I'm seeking. And I think Rose is going to find that out, and there's going to be sort of a blowout. She's going to say, I can't do this, and this is what you're after. And eventually Kane's going to let it be separate for a while, thinking good riddance to her. I need to be on my own. And then he's going to realize she's important. He's going to go back to her. So I think we probably won't see a lot of her from a couple episodes into season 5, and then she'll come back by the end. Is my prediction.
It's a good theory.
Yeah,
I know.
And what if it doesn't happen?
Well, then I don't have an opportunity to gloat now, do I? What are some other big things that happened, Tiffany?
AJ and Mina finally got together.
Oh yeah, because that was Nick's wedding.
Yes.
Was that their first time of getting together?
Yep. Yeah. During the reception, she pulled him out and kissed him.
Oh yeah.
Way to go, Mina.
Now it's coming back. It's in my head now.
But it seems like it's weird because it seems like they've always been together at this
I know.
point.
There's always just been this little back and forth flirting
Yes.
between them.
And they really didn't give anyone else the time of day because they were in love with each other without admitting they were in love with each other. So it has always just kind of felt for me that they were together.
Well, except for Micah,
Yeah.
that whole storyline.
He wasn't really he didn't appear that much.
I know.
So I forgot
Okay.
about him all the time until he'd appear. I'm like, oh, she's still dating him?
I know. I did the same thing. I was like, oh, he's still around.
I mean, at first, when he was on when he was on like every episode, I'm like, yeah, I like that relationship. And then he sort of disappeared and I just completely forgot he ever existed.
I never liked the relationship because I wanted her with AJ.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when her and Micah started out, AJ wasn't there.
No?
Did AJ come after they started?
Did he?
Yeah, because it was like in early season 1 when she and Micah, because Micah pursued and pursued and pursued. and
That's
pursued.
right. Man, I need to rewatch.
Me too.
I just keep up. I don't rewatch.
To be fair, I have been wrong once or twice in my life, so I couldn't have that wrong. Maybe AJ
No.
came at the same time. Maybe because I have this inkling of memory that she almost started dating Micah because she was starting to feel things for AJ. But I don't know. I don't know.
know.
I don't know.
We're gonna have
Anyway,
to look it up.
they're together in this episode, and it's kind of a bummer that we only got how many episodes were there this season? 12?
14.
14. We only
Yeah.
got 14 episodes with Mina and AJ.
Well, not even because
robbed
she
No,
us.
not
left.
even. She left like
12, didn't she?
11 or 12.
Yeah, I think she left 2 before the
Um,
finale.
Was she there for the tornado?
No, she was there for Nick's
Mm.
birth, and that was the last episode she was in, wasn't it? Because they threw her a welcome party when Nick was upstairs with the baby, didn't she? Or
No,
it was
because
Nick's
Nick had the baby at the finale.
Mm.
She wasn't there for the baby.
It was because it was that they had a going away party in the hospital. Oh, it was like her first day off from maternity leave or something like that, is what it was. That I'm thinking.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, because she was It was her. Yeah, it was her last day at work until she went to her
Yeah.
maternity leave. Okay.
Yeah.
And they threw Mina. I love Mina's growth too, because Mina was about to leave in that cab. And at the very last minute, she decided, did they call her? Right? That's what it was. They called her.
think
That's
so.
how they got her back in. And I was
Mhm.
so worried that don't go out like that. Don't just leave and not answer their phone call. What a jerk thing to do. I get that you don't like feelings and emotions, but do not leave those people hurting because you left and acted like they were nothing.
Yeah.
So I was really worried there for a minute. She was just going to keep going. And the fact that she went back shows huge growth in her.
Yes.
Even with
Yeah, I
AJ,
agree.
it shows huge growth.
I wish.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I wish he would have gone with her so they could be together, but also I don't want him to leave, so I want him to stay.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought too.
I think though that was
So-
strategic on the writer's part because I think they want her to come back.
Yeah.
And I think AJ being here, yes, the other friends are a pull, but she's in love with AJ. I think he's her person. I mean, because really, who else could live with Mina? I love Mina. Her character's awesome. I imagine she's very difficult to live with.
Oh, yeah.
Same with AJ. I love him. He's a great character. I would probably throat punch him several times if I lived with him. There is nobody, they're each other's person. There's nobody else that could tolerate them the way that they love each other. So although the friends are a draw, I think AJ is her big draw to get back. But the fact that she said in the finale episode at least like 4 different times, if I do it this way, then I can come back.
Yeah.
And that's why she did it that way. So I think the writers left it that way on purpose because they wanted her to have a reason to come back rather than just, oh, hey, we're back to visit. Because if AJ went with her, that's all coming back would be as a visit.
Yeah, exactly. And if she comes back, I hope she comes back. I really do. And I think it'll just make the show back to normal.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, it's not going to be the same without Mina.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's been there since day one.
Yeah.
I fell in love with her character the very moment she spoke. Like she was
Oh, yeah, I
deep
did
to my
too.
heart the moment she started insulting people.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
favorite person.
She's like the Christina Yang of
The who?
The Resident. Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, I don't get that reference.
You don't watch it.
I know you guys do, right? Tiffany, you watch Grey's Anatomy?
I've seen the first season and that's it.
Okay.
But I do know who Christina Yang is.
Okay.
See, Mina's kind of like Christina, right?
Yes. I do see that similarity. Yes.
So what are some other big things that happened this season? We had the tornado. That was a big episode
Yes.
because we got to see
Leela.
I have my friend had a daughter whose name was Layla, so they're so similar. So I keep wanting to call her Layla. Leela is another storyline that I think we should discuss because she appeared and she was one who struggled with was it dyslexia?
Dyslexia. Yeah.
And I love how she got out of it. Like at first I was like, I don't know if I trust this girl. Is she faking something? Does she want something? Because she showed up so early, hours and hours before everyone else. And then the way Devin spoke to her that first time, I wasn't sure if I liked Devin again yet. And then he spoke to her that way and I almost wanted to backhand him. Like, dude.
Yeah.
So you could have handled it so much, but I get why he was handling that way. But still, he just spoke so rudely to this girl who was clearly terrified of what she was doing with good reason.
Yeah.
And so even in her, we saw the growth. And I love that they gave her that tornado to kind of push her into doing something more without having to have hours to prepare and to think. And I think that if she gets put in more of those real life situations, she'll get better at it. And I love that Belle is the one who noticed that about her.
He's really, I think she'll go great if she just stays with Belle.
Yeah.
Watching her do that surgery during the tornado while they were trapped in there, that was just with what they had on hand, tools from the toolbox. That was insane. But she did such a fantastic job.
That was another redeeming moment for Kane too.
Yes.
Because when she came out and he said, no, this is your victory, it's not mine. Like, what now? Did Kane really just say that? So
I think he sees it in her too.
He sees a lot of himself in her. And I think how redemptive it is this has been they only had 14 episodes to kick this out. They only had half of a year to film it, I imagine. But the way they redeemed so many characters in such a full way this season was really beautiful to see. Like Belle, he was Hands of Death and Destruction. He was Hodad before.
Yeah.
And now he's masterfully, kindly, and wisely teaching this girl how to save lives in a very real, tangible way. So, that story arc is that's nuts in a good way. That's too, and I love Belle's character now. He's one of my favorites now.
Oh yeah, mine too.
Mine too. Yep.
The way he fights for those people now, where he didn't before. The way, and it's crazy because Conrad is seen as like the rebel of the show. But Conrad brought back Belle because he fought for him. Conrad brought his dad in, who he fought against for so long, but Conrad is the reason his dad is there saving everybody. Conrad is him standing on Belle's side when it was right, is the reason Belle had to turn around. So Conrad actually stands on the side of righteousness. And there's so many people, like I see comments like Conrad is he doesn't have to be this whatever. He doesn't have to be so rebellious. He doesn't have to be this. But Conrad is the one who brings all these people that are hard to love back into the fold.
Yeah, I have issues with Conrad this season. And I never thought I would say that because I love him. But I feel like his and Nick's storyline has been pretty boring.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you have issues with him as a character, but his storyline wasn't lively enough.
Like their storylines. It's just like, it was always like, boom, something, something, something. And all of a sudden, like this season, it's kind of just been like, it was kind of nice because there wasn't anything, but also there wasn't anything.
Yeah.
And to be entertained, you have to have something.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of sad that the writers saw it as, well, there's no more sexual tension because they're married, they can do whatever they want. So we have to move on to other characters who have it. And that's not right, because you don't have to be married for there to be a buildup in your relationship. You don't have to be single for that. You don't have to. Married people can have that kind of tension. Married people can have that kind of excitement. And it just seems sort of a disservice that they did that to their storylines this year.
Yeah. I'm hoping next season it will be better. Yeah. I'm really hoping next season will be better. I think with
COVID
to redeem and everything this year, I think most of our shows, they haven't been that great these seasons.
Yeah.
Sadly, I still love all the shows and I'll still watch them, but
I think this one, you can see the excitement in the Devin storyline, even without Leela. You can see the excitement in the Mina AJ storyline, even though it was what's Mina's real name? Sheena?
Oh
Do
my
you remember her
gosh.
real- If Jeanette were here,
Uh.
she'd tell me exactly who it is because Jeanette is in love with this woman.
I know. And I can see her name in my head.
Shawnette, that's what her name is.
Shawnette, yes.
That's why Jeanette likes her name. It's very close to Jeanette.
Jeanette and Shawnette.
So I know that it was Shawnette's reason it was her decision to leave the show, not the writers. So, but even so, even with Belle and Kit, I mean, they're building up that slow burn. There's so many things that they're with these, just because they are, it seems like the only storyline that they made take a back seat was Nick and Conrad because they were married. It's almost like they're punishing the audience for getting what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I want to see all of them. You know, I also want the medical stuff too, because I like medical TV shows. So I want that, but I also want to see all the characters grow, and I want to see all their relationships. And I just don't feel like we got that this season. But we also did get Leela, which I think is going to be a great match for Devin.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited for that.
But if they get married, are they going to become boring too?
I hope not.
Because I mean, if you look at Conrad, even they haven't even focused. I mean, he's brilliant at what he does. When he was fired, Belle would go to him and ask for diagnosis advice.
Yep.
They have completely left that by the wayside. Because he's married doesn't make him any less brilliant of a doctor.
Yeah.
Hone in on that. If you don't want to deal with the like, why does it have to be sexual for it to be this huge, great storyline? Why can't it still be a great storyline if he's great at what he does?
And I got excited because, you know, when that nurse came in and she's that last episode where with the pharmaceutical, and she's like, her nephew has sickle cell and she wanted to see, I felt like I could see Conrad like get excited again and like go to do something. And then he was kind of like shut down. And it was kind of like, okay, I'm really hoping next season we kind of see that badass Conrad, you know, doing his macho thing. And
I was excited to see Conrad's angry face again. Haven't seen his angry face in a very long time, but I love me a good Conrad Hawkins angry face.
Oh yeah.
And when he gets right up in your face and he's very serious and his voice drops like 17 octaves and he talks in almost a whisper through gritted teeth. That is the Conrad that I live for.
Yes, I love it too.
I think he's gonna kick some butt next season.
I hope so. I want to see it.
So.
I think he's ready to. I think part of him too is like, man, my life is boring. I need an enemy.
Everything's too good with Robot Baby.
We're not going down that rabbit hole again, Amanda. You cannot trick us into that.
I'm gonna have to mention it at least once a day.
Okay, resident showrunners, I'm very sorry that we discussed Robot Baby in our last Resident episode, but I need you to know that every episode of The Resident from here on out will include a mention of the Robot Baby. It's an endearing thing, not an insulting thing. We're good.
I'm just gonna say Robot Baby, just randomly in every Resident podcast.
So the episode that you guys are gonna see tomorrow is of Summer Selby, and she plays AJ's mother. So be watching out for that. But we tried to like get a laugh out of her, be like, so how about that Robot Baby? And she was like, well, you know, this is actually why we did it. And we're like, oh, I suppose that makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Completely shut us down. And like at the end it was like, oh man, I shouldn't have made fun of the poor little Robot Baby.
I know. Did you see how Grace did it though? Did you listen to the Amelia Rico? Because they did the and that was like that was 2 days after.
Yeah.
So it was all in the same week that they both had the babies.
Yeah. And I know that we brought up the This Is Us baby, but I think that was Dan Fogelman's baby and Mandy Moore's baby. I think that's why yeah, I think because Mandy Moore's baby, Gus, he was on set all the time. And I have to assume that since Dan Fogelman's wife, what is Meredith's real name? Catherine? Caitlin?
Madison's real name?
Yes, I should do this research before I come on these shows. I'm sorry, people. It's not that I disrespect you. It's that I podcast every day.
But I'm trying to get my mouse from one computer to another computer, and it's not even connected.
I think Caitlin's baby was like 6 months old when they started filming, maybe less than that. And I think Mandy Moore's baby was around-ish the same time. No, she was young. Gus is younger,
Yeah, he's younger.
but I think he was on set for filming. So I don't know. Anyway, I think that's why they had real babies there, and why I don't think anybody on Resident was pregnant
I don't think
or
so.
gave them a
And
real
it,
baby to work
and
with.
it is. It's not just COVID, but it is a lot of more safety reasons of why they can't have real babies on the set.
And that's what Summer
the
said
time.
too, is that, it's what parent wants to just hand over their kid in a time of a pandemic when they're, and I totally get that. I get that. And I think that's why we have to kind of look at it. It's just fun to say robot baby.
I know. Trust me, I'll love Robot Baby next season.
And the thing is, we wouldn't have cared if it was a robot baby if they didn't have so many close-ups of its weird animatronic face.
Yeah. It
would have been fine from far away.
Yeah.
Or even from the back of its head. But why'd you make its arm move and its eyelids open and close and its mouth move? Like I had nightmares. I didn't really, but I wanted to have nightmares about it.
You wanted to have nightmares over?
Amanda, how did you get us talking about the robot baby?
Oh, my trickery.
We're done now. Anyway, so The Resident season 4.
Do you think the next baby being born will be a robot baby?
Yes.
Who's gonna have the next baby?
In those movies and shows when they just kind of throw a throwback to fans, that's like a running joke, a running gag. That's gonna be the Resident's new running gag. Is okay, every time we have to have an excuse to have someone have a baby, so we can have a robot baby.
And just a random patient.
Those FFC people, we're gonna show them. FFC is us, by the way. If you're listening and are confused what that means, it's Fandom Family Chats. FFC, because we're cool and trendy. What other big thing happened this season, Tiffany?
We met Billy. She came back
yeah.
when Nick was going through surgery. She came back for that.
She confused me for a while.
Yeah.
Did we all think that she was
her story
evil?
sound like we'd seen her before and knew everything that happened, but we didn't know anything about her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I was really confused. And I even asked, I was like, was she in the earlier seasons? Because really, I've always watched the show live. I haven't ever done a rewatch. And I'm like, am I just completely forgetting somebody in the show? But then
I watched all the seasons together and I was super confused. I'm like, did I fall asleep for an episode or something?
When did you finish, Tiffany? With the first 3 seasons, when did you finish those? Like right before you started 4?
Yes. Yeah, season 4 was in the middle of airing when I started season 1.
So you were like right in the thick of it. Like you saw it all right before. Okay.
Yeah.
And you still got confused. See, Resident writers, stop doing this to us, because Joshua pointed out, our other podcaster pointed out that you do this to us a lot. Mm-hmm. We are not always smart people. And some of us are sleep deprived with children and can't watch this until like 1 a.m. and we cannot focus on a storyline that hasn't existed before.
I'm like, who's Billy?
They did the same thing with Nick when they said she had a miscarriage.
When did they say that?
When they found shortly after they found out she was pregnant.
She
had a miscarriage before. That's why she was so nervous and wanted to wait to tell people. But we hadn't heard anything about that before, so they just made it sound like, we knew exactly what they were talking about.
I wonder if they were putting in storylines that they had hoped to already include in the beginning of the season that they had to scrap. Maybe. But with Billy, that's not a possibility, because Billy had come like years before.
Yeah.
So that one annoyed me. But I do love Billy's. I wasn't sure about Billy's character at first. She bothered me. Mostly because she bothered Conrad. And nobody bothers Conrad.
I had bad vibes from her. Now I love her.
Yeah, exactly.
But I had trust issues at the beginning.
I think she's going to be one to make Kane understand what's really happening with him, though. Because she had told him, yes, I want your job. Of course I want your job. We're after the same thing. We're like the same people. And that's why Kane likes her, is because they're cut from the same cloth. But when he was given an opportunity, she found out about him getting an offer from John Hopkins. And she said, but Kit gave you a second chance. When people give you second chances, you don't turn away from it. And so I think that she's going to have a heavy hand in helping him see what's really important. I think that Rose is going to leave him and she's going to be like, what is wrong with you, you idiot? What are you doing this? And so I think Billy is going to be a character who is, because she has a redemptive story arc, even though we didn't see it, we know where she came from and we know where she is now based on what we've been told. So I think she's going to be able to play that angle up in the characters who are still struggling.
Yeah, see that definitely. I agree with you.
And we already know we're going to get, you know, a lot more of her next season because the very end, they had her son show up when she got home.
Yeah.
The random head we saw.
Yeah. Right.
Remember.
We already spoke about that, but
Every time we do a resident podcast, I feel the need to say, we really do love you.
I know, we really, really do. We're just trying to make the show better.
Let us help you. Let us help you, professional writers. We're amateur podcasters who are just winging everything we do, but let us help you make your show better because we know what's best.
Like you said earlier, we're sleep-deprived moms talking about TV shows.
To be fair, we run a group with...
We do.
We had 6,000 in Resident yet, or is it... We had 6,000 in the Resident, right?
Yeah, we're over that. We're, I think, like 6,300 as of today.
So we run a group with 6,300 other people who also love the Resident, and we speak for them.
Yes.
They all had the exact same.
These are a lot of complaints that we're getting from the group, so this isn't just us. We're, what's that word?
Helping you out?
Yeah, I guess that'll work. It's not the word I was thinking of.
We're accommodating them.
There we go. That's the one. I won't try to say the other one.
Facade?
Yeah.
Oh, some of you will not get that reference, and that is totally okay. You have to watch all of our podcasts to find out what that Facade reference is, but it's been there, and you'll find it, and it's a specific one with Amanda.
Yep, it's me.
So, Billy, Tiffany, don't you love doing the podcast with us when we can't get out of our silly mode, and you can't get a word in edgeways, and we're just being ridiculous?
I do. This is really entertaining for me.
Good.
We're just trying to help you out. I think you have the youngest kid. We know you're the most sleep deprived. We're trying to give you some energy here.
Exactly.
Need that.
The other storyline. Let's see. Kit. I think we should talk about Kit as CEO a little bit more.
Let's go for it.
Because her speech when she went up to the board wasn't where I don't remember how she said it, but she said something along the lines of, "You've come so far and you've never yet had a woman as your CEO," or something along those. She said it way better because, again, writers, you're much better at your job than I am. But she said it great. And she said, like, when she said it, I just wanted to like stand up and clap. It was so good. And then when they offered, I didn't think they were going to offer the position at first. I thought either. Because there was a woman who's the head of the board now, right? Or what is no? That woman was, who was that woman? Was she a
She's governor? Governor Randall.
Oh yeah, because it's a public hospital, so now the governor has a say.
That
was
who
another
had it in with her. Somebody, was it Conrad? Or was
someone was fangirling over her. Conrad saved her, but someone was fangirling over her. Was it Devin?
Maybe it was Devin.
Devin or Irving were fangirling over the governor. I don't remember who was. One of them was very excited that she was in there.
That's another one we need. Wow. That's another one we need to talk about.
Yeah, she was dating her assistant. And they both got an STD.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Right? Am I getting that right, Tiffany? Or is that in my head?
No, it wasn't an STD.
Well, something they both shared.
It was some sort of disease from the Caribbean. But yeah, it wasn't an STD.
Sorry, Governor of Georgia. I didn't mean to give you an STD. But we both know you weren't vacationing in the Caribbean together without doing something you shouldn't have been doing. I thought it was like shingles or something. Maybe that's an STD. I don't know what shingles is. Really.
Shingles, STDs, same thing.
I am a medical professional.
Oh wow, we've lost it.
My daughter just hurt her foot actually, in a bouncy house. We thought she fractured her foot in a bouncy house, and it was just yesterday, and she was really sad because volleyball camp started today, all that kind of stuff. But my friend is a surgical tech, and I was like, okay, so give me the skinny. Does this look like a fractured bone to you? She's like, well, I feel like I need to tell you, I'm not a real doctor. but just for my kid. And so like, okay, so my Dr. Nicole says this, and this is what we're gonna do because Dr. Nicole said this. I have a friend who's a nurse too. Didn't ask her. I asked the surgical tech. And then I was telling my kid that I thought it looked like a fracture based off of what it was. And I'm giving her all this, like, I'm impressed with all the words coming out of my mouth because it sounds so professional. It sounds like most of my information probably came from the resident. That's what it sounds like. Which I do not doubt that's where all my medical knowledge comes from. Thank you, resident, for helping me diagnose my kids wrongly because it wasn't a fracture.
Well, that was good.
My
I was going to ask you today.
Her doctor looked at me and said, so I think it's probably unlikely she got a fracture in a bouncy house. That's what I thought, but it was anyway. So resident, you
good.
Help me. Yep. Hey, I elevated, I iced, and I wrapped, and I got all that information from the resident.
There you go. Boom. You could be a doctor.
See. By the way, my daughter Jane loves this show, and she was bragging about it to her friends today that she likes when they take the organs out of people in the show. I promise
you, she's not a future surgeon.
She's not a serial killer.
Or a serial killer. One of those two she's going to be.
Perform surgery. She really wants to do that. So that's another thing I like about the show is that, I mean, there's episodes I can't let my kid watch.
Yeah.
Like the end of the finale. Probably didn't want my kids to see that. But in terms of how they do the surgeries, in terms of how they do the procedures, even with Bell, when he's working with Leela, is very informative. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Academic.
Mm-hmm.
And that resonates with a lot of people because that's what makes them interested is they want to know something that they could never learn. I mean, being a doctor takes 10 years now? You have to go to 10 years of schooling, and then you have to go through like, I don't know, a few years of residency and then another few years as an intern, and then you can finally be something, right? So it takes like 15 years to be a doctor.
Yeah. Isn't it? It's intern, residency, right?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor, Amanda.
Trying to think. My and Grey's Anatomy schooling I have had for 17 years. Okay, I'm a doctor.
See, and I only had 4 years of residency schooling, so.
Well, maybe you should watch Grey's. It's not really your thing.
Anyway, I think the show. I think they take it so academically when they're talking through procedures, and I mean, yes, it's a lot of things that you wouldn't normally see on the field or in the field, but the way they talk through procedures, and again, I keep going back to Bell and Leela because he takes a very scientific approach. AJ too, same thing. He was very analytical. So the way he describes these things, the way he goes through these things, people who don't have 15 years or thousands upon hundreds of thousands of dollars to give to become a doctor, I think they resonate with the show because it's something they can never do. It's something they can never have the time for or the money for, or in my case, the stomach for. And so it's interesting to see how it pulls you in because of that.
Yeah. And they have, somewhere it said they have somebody on staff.
Sunshine.
Yes, that's right. That makes everything correct.
Yeah. And there's a resident in I think in one of the trivias we did in our group, which by the way, if you don't know what our group is, when we keep mentioning that, it's our Facebook group, The Resident Chastain Family Fan Club. You can look us up on Facebook. But on one of our trivia days, I think I had where there's an actual resident in a hospital who is on the writing staff.
Yeah, I think I read that somewhere too, and I was doing facts as well.
So I mean,
it makes sense.
Yeah, and necessary.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can have a medical show without that.
There shouldn't be. I mean,
but I think we started talking about this with Kit, the CEO.
We went way off
5 minutes ago. But I think Kit is going to bring a nice balance of compassion and justice, but also wisdom and money smarts. Because I think Belle, the statement you don't like that Belle made to her that you said she needed to hear, I think that's what's going to make her understand because she values Belle's opinion. And you can see that. I love their relationship, by the way. There's some people like, can't they just get together already? I like the slow burn.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I sometimes forget they're together. That's my only problem. Is really like they'll be together.
Well, that's because you missed things. Like you didn't know they already had a kiss. You didn't know they'd gone out on dates. Like you missed all that stuff.
Did I watch the show?
I don't know.
Jeez Louise.
But they have had all those moments. And I like that what I like more than anything is they're not boring, and there hasn't been any sexual activity between them. They're not boring, and they both have a lot to give and take from each other.
Oh yeah,
I think this
I love them
season,
together.
as short as the season was, I think we saw a lot of the give and take between those two.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that Belle's last comment is going to make her see that, okay, you're right. I do have to focus on money a little bit. It can't just all be compassion and this.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And hopefully this next season will dig into, like I said, I kind of agree with you with the slow burn thing. Like, it is nice because usually with any other kind of show, it's always just, they jump in and then there's a problem and then they get back together and then they, it's always
Yeah.
the same thing. And kind of with Belle and Kit, it's different than other shows.
Mhm.
It's not in your face.
Yeah.
Like I said, I sometimes forget they're together.
Mhm.
It's just because usually in shows, it's always in your face. You always know
Yep.
who's together. And with them, I mean, they act like respectable people at work.
Yeah.
And they're not, running to the on-call room all the time like teenagers.
On call room, that's the name of it. I call it the sleep room. It's the on-call room, isn't it?
On-call room.
Oh, Matt Zuckery, don't be disappointed in me.
The sleep room. I like your terminology better.
So what do we think about Kit giving Kane a second chance? And
I
what do
was
you think about Kane?
surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see that from her. I didn't see
I
that
didn't
coming.
see that coming.
Because she gave him a second chance before he was even better.
Yeah. Yeah, he
So-
was still in the early stages of the physical therapy and
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah. And I don't know what made her do that. I don't know if it was the money
I don't
or
think so.
I don't understand, because if I was her, I would have been like, you're out. Like,
Because
that
as a
was-
public hospital, people can't choose to have him. They won't pay extra to get him.
Yeah.
But
Like,
I think, was it after she saw him with Rose that she gave him the job? Or gave him a shot?
Mm. Yeah, I think so.
was it?
Yeah.
Because he was halfway through physical
I
therapy,
think
so he was with
Yeah.
Rose.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he met
So
Rose
maybe
when he
that-
started the
She had a
physical therapy.
conversation with Rose, didn't she?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
she did.
In front of him.
Yep. I remember that.
And I think that was part of what I think she saw the potential there in Rose, because I think she saw how Rose was handling him and how he was receiving it. And I think Kit realized, okay, so if I can do this with him, I mean, because he is good at his job. He's an a-hole, but he's good at his job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she saw that if she could take some advice from Rose, or even utilize Rose to help bring him to some sort of decency, then I think she kind of saw an opportunity there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we think is going to be happening with Miss Carol?
I think she's going to have a bigger part. And then I think there's going to be a spinoff, as
I'm
we
hoping
discussed.
so.
No, we're sending the spec script to Fox.
Let's do it. Summer will do it with us.
Yes. We've got Malcolm. We're good. Malcolm's got
Summer,
pull.
Malcolm, come on.
No, I do think she's going to take a heavier role next year.
I hope she does. I really actually do enjoy her character, and seeing that side of AJ.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I love AJ. I mean, everybody knows that, but who doesn't?
But I
I love their
even-
relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think even with her husband, I can't remember his name on the show, but it's Michael Chan, right?
Yeah, it's Michael. And
Yeah. And I think
I know his real name.
even their relationship, those two together, I think that they have a really good storyline. I think it's interesting. I think it's different, but I also think that the way they are able to reach AJ is a big deal. And I think AJ is going to need that more. I think AJ is going to be leaning on his parents more, especially after what happened with Carol. I don't think that AJ is really going to be like, you know what? I can leave you by the wayside for now. I think AJ is going to like have to be there much more often now, be more present.
He's gonna have to. Really, if his parents still have that restaurant, his dad's gonna have to be working.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's gonna have to take care of Carol.
Yeah. Exactly.
What about, let's discuss Irving and Nurse Jessica before we forget about them.
I love those two.
Yeah,
I do
they're
too.
I
so
really
cute.
do.
I really do. And I love their little intimate wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I was
I
a
love-
little bit sad
I know that we didn't get to see him.
Well, I mean, we got to see a tiny bitty part, but
Yeah.
I wish like their friends were with them, and I feel like I don't know. I guess that was them though. I mean, they
Yeah.
are kind of private. You don't get to see a huge amount into their lives.
Yeah, it
So
fit them perfectly.
it
Yeah.
did. It really did. In the aquarium by themselves. It was
Mhm.
beautiful.
Oh, that's right. We
Oh
did
my
see part of
gosh,
that.
yes.
Yeah,
It was
Mhm.
so cute.
She looked beautiful, of
Mhm.
course,
she did.
and I love it. I
And
hope
just like
they,
Irving said, I mean, they had a big public proposal. So
Yeah.
they already did the public stunt.
they did. Ooh, maybe she'll get pregnant.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, I really like I like them already, but
Mhm.
when I was really that or the guy who plays Irving, I need to learn these people's real names. But the
I
guy
either know their real names or their
the guy who plays Irving he played that part so spectacularly in that episode in season 3 because we're on 4.
Tasso Feldman.
Yes, that's what it was. But in season 3 when Jessica had that accident,
Mm-hmm.
which is handy because Jessica's real name is also Jessica. So
It is.
that helps me out. But his reaction and even thinking about it brings me tears in my eyes. The way he handled that scene and those emotions were so phenomenal. And that was the moment that I think they became one of my favorite couples in that moment because just the way he loved her, the way that he never gave up and she never gave up. And then they had this beautiful moment with all their friends. I was glad to see them take a moment for just the two of them
I was too.
because he couldn't even grieve alone in there when she had that brain issue and she had the surgery. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't grieve alone. He couldn't care for her alone because everyone loved her, which and it's not a bad thing. And I think he understood that wasn't a bad thing. And I think he understood that his friends loved her too, and he would never begrudge them that. So I was glad that they had a moment where it's just the two of them, something that just they shared together that was really special and really beautiful.
Yeah, and it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping to see more story from them this season,
Yes.
so hopefully next
Yeah.
season we'll get to see
Hopefully
more
next
from them.
season.
Please give
I
them
would
more
love
next
to
season.
see. And also Nurse Hundley.
Yes.
I would like to
Yes.
see more of her.
Mm-hmm.
She cracks me up.
That's
I
how
was
feel
really
about Jessica
nervous
and
when
Irving.
I was really nervous when she got COVID this
I
season.
know.
Yes,
I'm like,
I was like,
don't
no.
you dare get rid of her.
I actually thought they killed her off. Is what I actually
I thought they were going for it too, and I was like,
Yeah.
don't you dare.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's like have you guys ever seen Scrubs?
Yes.
I've seen bits and parts. I haven't seen it all.
Nurse Laverne, they killed her off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what are you? She's one of the best characters. What are you
Right.
doing? And I
Yeah.
was mad about that for a long time. So when they were gonna kill her off, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, then definitely don't watch Grace.
I'm good. I hear enough about it from you guys. I'm good. I don't need to watch. I get to be a part of all the podcasts and hear your rundowns, and I'm good.
You're caught up.
45 other shows to watch. So
What else was there?
So
There's
you guys
Dr.
don't know-
Jake.
Yes.
Oh yes, Jake.
Jake
That's who I actually wanted to talk about next.
You guys don't know this because you can't see us, but Miss Tiffany has 8 pages of notes on this season. So we're gonna keep referring to Miss Tiffany.
Yeah.
So Jake, he and Belle reconnected fully in the season, right?
Yes.
Because did he
Yes.
reach out to him in season 3 or did he not reach out to him until the season?
It was this season.
Okay.
Yeah, I was outside that club.
I have to be honest,
Yeah.
I thought him reaching out to him was weird.
It was, yeah. I thought it was weird too. But now that I've seen them interacting together,
Yeah.
I
feel
really like
he
their
was trying
relationship.
to but he was trying to fix himself,
Yeah.
and he knew he needed to fix that relationship in order to fix himself.
Oh.
And I'm glad. I love Jake as a character. I mean, I love that they just adopted that little girl, Sammy.
Yeah.
It's so sweet and so cute. And I mean, we wouldn't be able to have Mark Rowe or Kim.
It's true. That's very true.
We wouldn't have been able to meet them, and they're very nice people.
They are lovely. I like them. I think
Maybe
they
not the
did a good-
show, Richard and Mary Miller, but Mark Rowe and Kim Mako, very nice people.
They were guest stars on the episode that highlighted Jake, Dr. Jake. and his partner, and we interview them. So if you do not know that, go back and watch that interview. You'll learn some surprising things, I think,
Go listen
about
it's a
this
good
show.
one.
Yeah, it was a very good interview.
Yeah.
I listened to it twice already.
I do like how when Belle first tried to get back into Jake's life, how firmly Jake held to what he felt, that he didn't cow before Belle, that he didn't try to make him feel better. Because I think Jake even said something along those lines of, "This is just about you again."
Yeah.
And I like that Jake stuck to, no, I have no reason to, and until I do, then I don't need this. And I was excited that he did that, because in that moment that he's a good guy, and that because he's a good guy, there's going to be a relationship there.
I was hoping. I felt that came really fast though, because
I agree.
You kind of met him, but then he was at the hospital, and then he just he's there, and I'm like, what happened? And I think that's because we skipped all that time.
Yeah, I think we would again with Belle. I think we would have a slower burn with that relationship had we had an entire season.
Yeah,
but I think too the show had a need for surgeons,
and
so they added a surgeon.
That's true. I always get confused of who's a surgeon and who's a
because he's plastic surgery.
Yes, and Devin and Matt Matt Devin and Conrad are
Matt
just regular doctors.
We all know well.
It goes back and forth.
And because there's Belle, Kit. They don't need another surgeon. They need another doctor. There's Belle, Kit, Kane, Mina, AJ, Jake.
They have a lot of surgeons. They have a lot of surgeons now.
Is there any other surgeons I'm forgetting? Conrad's friend from the military.
Yeah, but is he?
No, he's not his friend from the military. He's is his name Noah? Or did I just have an ER flashback just then? Noah Wiley was an ER.
Yeah, he was. I know who. I know who Noah Wiley is.
Anyway, there's at least 6 surgeons, and there is Conrad and Devin,
Irving.
That's it.
I think of the main doctors that week. I'm sure there's other doctors in the hospital.
They have got
nobody can see my air quotes right now.
Doctors.
3 doctors, 6 surgeons. Let's go.
They're very busy all the time.
And Leela is going to be a surgeon or a doctor.
She is going to be a surgeon.
I'm confused over.
She's going to be a surgeon, but she has to have patient rapport to be a surgeon. You've got to do some rounds.
Okay, that's right. So she'll be a surgeon.
So they're adding a 7th. Okay, resident writers, why do you keep adding surgeons? Can you not give Devin and Conrad a break? Because they're exhausted right now.
We need more residents.
They're tired
this season.
They've been going it alone for quite some time.
They never get a day off.
5 years now. Next year, when you start, it will be 5 years where it's just the 2 of them double-handedly saving Chastain Hospital.
Yep, pretty much.
We should make them a medal and send it to them. This is for all your hard work that you do all alone in that giant hospital.
Well, we're owners of the hospitals, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
We are?
Yeah.
I was unaware of this fact. What do you mean we're owners? I don't get the
No, because everybody in the group always thinks that we're the doctors in the hospital.
Oh!
They're always complaining to us.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know and who are not in our Facebook group, we frequently get asked. One of our biggest things is that, are you all nurses? Do you have medical degrees? How long were you in surgery for? Like, we're not doctors. We're not surgeons. Please don't ask us about this stuff. We are legally liable to not give you any information whatsoever. And the other thing we get asked is, when will you start your new season? When will you begin filming your new season? Nope. Don't get paid enough to be a showrunner for this show either.
No, they can pay me. I'll do it, but
my check is very, very small.
Yeah.
They'd give me nothing. So just so you know, we are honoring your writing abilities, resident writers, by saying we have nothing to do with the show. We just love it. So
big fans, even though
big fans. Tiffany, what are some other big things that happened this season?
We saw the baby shower before the baby was born, and yeah, we didn't talk about that yet.
How cute were the dads, the grandpas there?
I was just about to say that. I love them. I love their relationship they are forming now.
I said in This Is Us that Miguel and Nikki were my new favorite couple. In The Resident, it is the grandpas.
Yep.
Kyle and Marshall, right?
Marshall.
Yep.
Those two are, I love them. He's like, Kyle apparently has an issue with the color orange. I love them. I love those two together. And I love who Marshall is now.
Yes.
I think he's the Marshall he always wanted to be, but I don't think he had reason to be Marshall before this Marshall. I think he had reason to fight for a son, but he fought for a son the way he was raised to fight for a son. But then having the relationship with Conrad, I think, and even Nick, because I think Nick softens everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they have given him a reason to actually be this Marshall. And so I love who he's become. Even Kyle, because Kyle had issues, obviously, before.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jesse's death kind of hit him into being who he is now. And I think Nick has kept him on that path.
Oh,
Yeah, he's like a completely different person now.
Yeah. And I love them together.
I do too. I've said that.
You know, another big thing that happened this season that we haven't talked about yet?
What's that?
You guys doing okay there?
I'm here.
They got chickens. Huge storyline.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
What's going on?
It was such a weird random thing. I mean,
They threw it into so many episodes too, talking about these chickens.
I think that's what confused me the most is it appeared out of nowhere and then something was everywhere. Like, what?
I know. I was like, wait, what chicken? So wait, so they're keeping the chickens?
And we don't ever see them. But in the tornado, we know they protected the chickens.
Did they?
That's what they said.
They were at the hospital and the chickens were at home.
They said that the chickens were taken care of.
Yeah, I think their house.
Or am I
was
making
okay.
that up?
Well, no, their house was okay during the tornado. I mean, it didn't get hit with a tornado because, I mean, we saw their house in the baby shower and it was fine.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, that did happen before. Okay, yeah. I keep forgetting. I don't know why this storyline. This is the hardest storyline for me to keep track of. We do a Cruel Summer where it's 93, 94, 95. I can keep those organized perfectly in my head. But this one season, I cannot keep the timeline straight. I keep forgetting that Nick gave birth at the end of the series or end of the season. I keep thinking she did it in the middle, but she didn't.
Nope, last episode.
I know that now.
They got married in the first episode. They had the baby in the last episode. Everything in the middle.
That seemed really fast too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that baby cooked for 10 months.
Well, remember, we skipped all that time at the first episode.
Yeah, but we jumped to their wedding and then she got pregnant after their wedding.
Yeah, because the wedding was after COVID.
So there's like, there in between every episode is like 3 weeks.
Yeah, probably.
It kind of makes you wonder what we would have seen had we had the whole season, right?
Yeah.
Because
there
I think
was 10 episodes? 9 or 10 episodes that we should have gotten more of?
Yep. Because I think they always intended to end with the baby. I think they always intended to start with the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know Dr. Feldman's real name was also Feldman, by the way.
Shut up.
Yes.
Oh. I thought you meant his name on the show was Feldman. Like that doesn't make any sense.
The last name.
They called him Irving once.
No, I meant the actor's name is also Feldman. Very odd. I did not realize that.
Yeah, and Jessica is Jessica.
Oh, they're the two who got married, and they're the two who have shared names with their characters.
Yeah. Get a piece of the real world.
Is there something you wanted to discuss or that you wrote down that we didn't touch on yet?
We talked about Sammy a little bit, but
Sammy.
We didn't. Yeah, the little girl with the
adopted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the one they adopted.
Oh my gosh! I know we don't have to put this in because we talked about this in the last episode. But when they wheeled her into that room and she said to Dr. Jake, "Please don't leave me. I lost my parents." Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that just heartbreaking?
It wrecked me. And even Dr. Jake did phenomenal at that because even he got emotional. One, he's an actor, that's his job, but still he got emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I don't know about you guys, but I do not do well watching dudes cry. Like I can't,
Oh, it's
I
so
don't like
emotional.
watching women cry either, to be fair, internet. I don't like watching women cry and be sad either. But there's something about when a guy cries out of pure emotion that just hits me super hard.
Yeah,
I,
I agree. It's just different.
Yeah.
We're women. We know other women cry. We do it too much.
What were you going to
But
say, Tiffany?
the relationship with Dr. Bell and his ex stepson, they just seemed to move it very fast, because when they first started, he first contacted him again, he was like, I we were adopting and we don't want you to be in the baby's life and then leave. And then they had this little girl, Sammy, calling him grandpa at the end. So
Yep. And that was like
just
an episode
very
apart,
contradicting.
wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, it's just very contradicting there for
Mhm.
me. I was a little confused by that. But I do love the whole family interaction. Like, they seem to be interacting very well together as a family already.
Mhm.
So I really hope we see more of that next season.
Yeah, I think we will. I think there's a reason they pulled Dr. Jake in for this season. I mean, he's got to be there to stay. There's got to be a reason they put him in there. And
yeah.
to the writers' credit, I feel really bad for them because they probably I mean, these scripts are COVID came out in March. Well, it didn't come out. It was here before that, but that's when the pandemic really truly kicked into gear, was March. They start filming probably in the summer-ish area to start getting episodes out by September. So that they already had their script written for that. They at least had the whole first half script written, if not the whole thing together. So that these writers had to sacrifice the story that they had poured over and made cohesive and made connect and made it everything tie in together in a way that made sense and was functional. So I give these writers a whole lot of credit and a whole lot of compassion because they had to cut out half of their baby, basically.
Yep.
And that had to be a really, really hard job to decide what stays and what goes. And I think it sucks because us as the audience, we're seeing this really, really short, like, there's no way it would have happened that fast. And we're seeing the reality of that aspect. But we also know that the writers knew that this was part of a story. They had to keep the best parts of the story, the biggest parts of the story to put in there, which means that they left out all the little things that led up to that.
Yeah.
And that's a bummer because it did diminish the quality. But on the other hand, what other choice did they have if they wanted to actually tell a story in 14 episodes?
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
I mean, and they had to put COVID in there. It's something that had to be talked about. But I am happy that how they did it. They didn't stretch it out over the whole season. It was, they covered it, they moved on. Because yes, COVID is a very important thing, but also it's in my real world. When I go to my fantasy world, into my TV shows, I don't want to have to be reminded of it again and again and again, because it's already all around us.
Exactly.
And I want to escape into my TV shows.
Exactly. And I think they did it really well because throughout the season, you see them doing the temp checks. You see them with their masks. You see them with the sanitizer. So you could see them doing that stuff, but it wasn't front of your screen. It wasn't talked about all the time. There's a part of your head that understood they're doing this because of COVID and this is the way a hospital will run, but they didn't sacrifice the story for that.
Yeah.
They just show that there are now changes to the medical profession, which I appreciated.
Oh yeah. I think they did that beautifully, and that was one great thing that The Resident did that a lot of shows did not.
And that just because The Resident didn't have that in your face, it doesn't mean that safety was sacrificed in real time. Because when we talked to Mark and Kim, I mean, Tiffany, you said you watched it a couple times. They talked about the safety procedures and the precautions that they took. And they even said that there was someone in charge specifically of handling your mask and immediately putting it into a tight Ziploc bag so it was sealed.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do it that are safe. Yes, it's more time consuming. Yes, it's more labor intensive, but it's safe. And you can, I mean, this is what drives me crazy. And I think The Resident did do this really well. Good storytelling is supposed to give you hope. How can you be hopeful about a world that's trying to get out of this pandemic when you're doing nothing but forcing them to stay in that mindset?
Yep.
It happened. It sucked. It was a huge part of everyone's life. It caused death. It caused destruction. It did destroy a lot of people. But there are still a lot of us left that don't want to be reminded of all the death and the destruction, who don't watch TV don't watch fictional shows and read fictional books to be reminded of all the darkness. We read and watch these things to be reminded of hope. And I think The Resident did even ending with the baby. The Resident did a great job of bringing hope of new life into the show. And I think that's one of the reasons why they wanted that for their last episode, because new life gave you hope for what was coming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they did a beautiful job. As much as we sound like we hate on the Resident, they did a beautiful job this season.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just, go ahead, Tiffany.
Just for the, short amount of episodes we did get, that they put as much information in them as they could. And it was a really great season. I've watched it twice already.
And like we said, I can't say this enough, that we understand the writers had an impossible job.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You had to tell shortened versions of every story you had in your back pocket. And that's always, it had to be really, really tough on you, and it had to be a really big struggle. And it's us as the audience don't get to be a part of that struggle. And so it's hard for us to understand and remember that you had that struggle, and that you probably labored over these scripts of what's the best way we could tell the story to our audience that would help them to see what we're going through and see how much we still are serving them. And it's hard for us as the audience to see that part of it, other than just seeing, well, that happened too fast. Well, that sucked. Well, why did they do this? And admittedly, we say that a lot on this show.
We do.
But we
love it.
Yeah, we still love it. It was every single season of every single show had an impossible situation. These actors still have to work. The crew still have to get to work. They still have to make a living, especially the crew. They have to make a living. And these writers and these directors, they made it work. And they gave these people a living. They supported them. And it was hard and impossible. And I think you guys, with all the obstacles you had, I think the Resident did it well. I mean, yes, there's things I would like different, but I would have liked the pandemic to have never existed. So, all right. So I think we covered everything on season 4. If we have forgotten something, in our podcast description on our podcast channel, we will have our email, but I'm going to tell it to you right now. It's familyfanclubs2021@gmail.com. You can reach out to us there and tell us what we missed. You can tell us if we don't take this seriously enough. You can tell us if we're too hard on the show. We want to hear your feedback. And remember that the more feedback we have, the better we can make this content for you. The more subscriptions, the more ratings, the more watches we get on these videos, the better content we can give to you as well. So keep that in mind as you're watching. Download it, tell a friend, share the stuff. And if you are watching, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Keep watching our stuff. If you're on Apple or iTunes or Spotify or Pandora, our channel is on all those stations. Rate us, subscribe to us, and we'll get you the best content we can get you with the more viewership we have. But if you don't agree with us, you agree with us, whatever, we want to hear what you had to say. And you can also find us we have 11 Facebook groups, and you can look at our introductory video to find out what those all are. But for the Resident, it is the Resident Chastain Family Fan Club on Facebook. We're on social, on Instagram and on Twitter. So find us there. Let us know. Interact with us. We try to do fun things for our fans. We try to do fun things for fans of these shows and for our followers. So get with us there and chat with us. Hit us up a bit, and we'll interact with you, let you know what things are happening, and we just want to hear from you. So on that note, I think we're going to head off for the night. And next week we are talking This Is Us, I believe. Next Sunday is This Is Us. Couldn't tell you what's on Wednesday because this is a Sunday night podcast and I don't remember Wednesdays. So I'm just going to tell you that next Sunday is This Is Us. So tune in for that, and we will see you guys in a week. Bye, guys.
Bye.